I'm making this video to call for a National Flag Day for the Union Jack, or Union Flag, whichever you prefer, because either flag or jack is both are officially appropriate. You can use either. But I'm calling for a National Flag Day on which we celebrate the Union Jack. It should be a bank holiday. And there should be, in the week leading up to the bank holiday, or maybe it's over a weekend, I don't mind, but the week leading up to that day, all schools, all hospitals, all council buildings, all public buildings, police stations, all public buildings, and whoever else wants to, should be flying the Union Jack and the flags of the constituent nations, England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. It's a day on which we celebrate who we are as Britons. The fact that we live in these islands together under one rule of law, under one constitutional monarchy, under one flag, constituted of the flags of the constituent nations. It is a day on which we should remember our history, our heritage, our culture, our identity. It is one of the most iconic flags in the world. It is one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful flag in the world. We should be celebrating it. We've had the Raise the Flag campaign after the protests outside the Bell Hotel in Epping, and we had the Unite the Kingdom rally in London. And there's been a lot of talk about the flag and sort of an effort to demonise that flag. Well, I'm not having it. Because these people who do that, they don't respect our history, our heritage, our culture, or our national identity. And the reason they don't do that is because they actually survive through division. They accuse people who want to be united and recognise that we live in these islands together of being divisive, but actually they are the ones being divisive. Diversity, diverse, divided, divergent. They're all words that contradict the word unity. And they make a social, political, sometimes perhaps financial status. They build that out of highlighting the differences between us, that there are different communities here. And they see the flag, our history, our heritage, our culture and pride in those things as obstacles to the furtherance of their own interests. They put their own interests as individuals or groups before that of the nation. I put the interests of the nation and the British people writ large before myself, which is not what they do. And I think we need to reframe things. As I say, we need to recognise that that flag represents us all. We live here under one rule of law, and we live here under one constitutional monarch, and we live here under a flag that represents us all, which is that flag, the Union Jack. We don't live under the Palestinian flag. We don't live under the Syrian flag. We don't live under any other flag. We live under that flag and the flags of the constituent nations, and that's it. So I want to see a flag day when we mark that with celebrations, and we can celebrate the constituent nations and their cultures and their history and their heritage, and that of Great Britain, the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland under the Union Jack. And let's make it a unifying feature. Let's stop the left. I ask the left. I don't want to be antagonistic towards the left here. What I want is I'm asking you to set aside your differences and actually recognise that we are all together. And actually that whatever group you happen to be part of, whatever diverse community you're part of, if you are British, you are British. And let's celebrate that fact. Now, I wanted to address the Unite the Kingdom march because I think it's important. It was Alistair Campbell who said that it was a violent street, it represented a violent street movement. Well, look, there was nothing far right, extremist, fascist, nationalistic, racist or violent about that day or the Unite the Kingdom march, rally. I was there. It was peaceful. It was a good day. And these were people who I spoke to them, I spoke to many of them. They're from Ammanford in South Wales or Bolton in the northwest. These are deprived areas. These are places where school children don't work at school because there is no aspiration. There's no aspiration because there's no jobs. There are no jobs because there's no investment. And there's no investment because there's no infrastructure. Because for one, perhaps even two generations now, government, Westminster, politicians, national politicians have and the London urban liberal elite have ignored and forgotten these people as an untidy inconvenience. That's the reality, and they feel it. And these are people who want to be proud. These were proud communities. They were built up. They were thriving. They were wealthy. But now they're not. Now they're destitute. Now they're drug-ridden, mental health problems and so on throughout their communities. Okay, they want to be proud again. That's why the flag. And this is a cry for help. It's a plea for help. They're at their wits' end because all you do in Westminster and Whitehall is impose more and more of a burden on them. A burden of financial burden. More and more taxes. Everything's going up. Your nutty net zero ideology. You know, all of these things. You might pursue an ideology, but they are trying to pursue living life. And you are making it harder for them. Every day it gets more complex, more stressful, and creates greater anxiety. Their families are breaking down. Their society is breaking down because they can't hold it together because of what you are doing to them. And this is a plea for help. In other nations, they might really take to the streets in violence. But here, this is a plea for help. We are here. We want to be proud. We want to contribute. We want to be part of the nation, and we want to have our identity back, and we want you to listen. And you might be sitting in your nice little suburb of London. I don't know, you might be wherever you are. I don't know, Notting Hill or whatever it is. And you're sitting there, and you sit in a bubble where everything is fairly diverse and works. And fairly affluent, and there's little crime and whatever. You don't live in these deprived areas, and you cannot write off their concerns, their worries that they're trying to express to you as fascism or right-wing nationalism or racism or anything of the sort, because it is not. And it was not a violent rally. I'm a former police officer. Of course, I absolutely condemn. As much as anybody can condemn, I condemn violence, particularly that against police officers. There were 25 arrests made on Saturday at the United Kingdom rally. 25 arrests. And that's one in about 6,000. If you take it, there were 150,000 people there, as the Met Police say. The previous week, and the left has gone into meltdown over it. The previous weekend, there was a Palestinian rally or protest. 1,800 people. 17 arrests for assault on police officers. That's nearly 1 in 100. So at the Palestinian protest, where we didn't hear a squeak of concern about violence there, 1 in nearly 100 were arrested for assaults on police. This time, 1 in 6,000 was arrested, and the left have gone into meltdown. So let's get this back into proportion, shall we? These were ordinary people who are trying to say, hey, we're here. We matter. Please, for God's sake, listen to us. They're not Tommy Robinson fans. They're not Nigel Farage fans. These aren't intrinsically political people. These are ordinary people whose families are breaking down, who can't pay their bills, who are more and more stressed and more anxious. And they don't see anything changing. So please, my plea is listen. So let's start to refocus on putting the interests of the United Kingdom and the British people first. Because if we haven't got our own house in order, how can we help other people? We've got to put our own people, our own family first. And these are our family. They are our family. So a National Flag Day, a positive thing, despite what I'm saying, that's got to be a positive thing. We unite. We recognise our history and our culture and so on. All those great things that generations of Britons have done for the United Kingdom and for the world. And we make it positive. And we remember that we actually have, if we're in public office, I'm not, but I would like to be, because I would like to be able to put them first. And that's the job. Okay, it's not about us. I don't care what religion you are. I don't care what God you worship. I don't care what gender you are or what your sexuality is. I don't care whether you're tall, short, fat, slim, balding, hestitute. I don't care. I so don't care. But I don't want you dividing society as diversity activists do. As I say, it's diversity, diverse, divergent, divided, everything that is the opposite to united. And they accuse people who want to fly the flag that represents us all as being the divisive ones. So let's reframe this, shall we? Shall we start to turn this country around? Because I tell you where it starts. It starts under the recognition that whatever group or community you're in, we all live in these islands under one rule of law. Not many, one rule of law, under one constitutional monarch, and under one flag.